2025 NFL Draft. We got Mike Storey on the line, our expert, our college football expert. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Rob, how you doing? Hey, I just got back from Las Vegas, my man. I got back in yesterday afternoon. I was in Vegas for the draft. It was a sight to see in the sports books, I'll tell you that.
See, I would actually not mind going to Vegas for the draft, but my question is, would you ever want to go to the actual draft, especially if it was in Green Bay?
No. I mean, the quick answer there is no, because it's in Green Bay, right? But the short answer is probably not. Do you see the mass of people there? I mean, maybe if you're in the city and kind of enjoying the sights and sounds, but I don't want to be in a throng of people like that. I got a nice, comfortable couch with a nice TV.
And you know, the first round is so slow, right? And then you start getting into just no names.
Yeah.
And
I mean, let's be real. I mean, we care about fantasy. I love the defensive player. Don't get me wrong. I don't play very much IDP. So when you're talking about an edge getting drafted at 31, it's tough for me to still be interested.
Or offensive lineman, but I think it's great that I mean, me and you, like, you're a bigger college fan than me, but like, who's bigger NFL fans than me and you? Like, not many. And
maybe Nick. Nick might be up there. He's a pretty big.
He's a bigger Niners fan. I'm saying NFL fan, right?
That's true.
No,
that's true.
But like, you know, I do a lot of prep for, you know, the draft. I like to know the guys that ahead of time where they, you know, before they get drafted. But there's a lot of names, especially when you get to the third, fourth round, that I'd never heard their name, right? And
there was a backup, or not a backup, but a tight end drafted from Alabama at like round 4 or 5 today. And I'm like, I played college fantasy football for 10 years. I never heard of this guy. I don't, who is this guy?
But you have these fans just freaking out, like. Yeah. Usually it's all excitement too, right? It's like, dude, I guarantee they've never heard this guy's name. They're going on like by position, but like they're also like getting super happy about like a right guard getting drafted, and it's just I think it's hilarious. And like, I mean, that's the NFL though, right?
Well, there was one clip where I think it was a Broncos guy, and they drafted somebody, and he's like, he pauses for a second, and he's like, okay, and you can see his mouth. I don't know who that is, but okay, like he's.
Right. I think a great exercise would be like you can almost do this in the first round is you make up a fake name, just a guy that doesn't exist, right? like the Bengals draft John C. Riley out of TCU, and then all the fans are super happy, but it's like actually fake out. This guy doesn't exist.
There's a clip. I think it's a Jay Leno clip where we're talking to people outside Radio City Music Hall and asking them about fake draft names. And everybody's all like, oh, yeah, we're excited about it. And there's one guy who'd be like, hold on, he just plays wrong. It's hilarious.
It's great. And also, the draft always makes me think, especially with the trades, we'll get to the Travis Hunter trade, just Mike Ditka and how insane that was. I bring this up all the time just because every time, I still, like, I've known about it since it happened, with 2000 or whatever. And I every year I, like, think about it when the draft comes around, and every year I'm still, like, amazed. Like, I can't believe it happened.
Yeah, no, that was, I don't think I was watching at that time, but you go back and watch the clips of that. It is just wild.
His entire draft for a running back and next year's first, it was just 8 picks for one, just to move up like 5 slots.
I mean, we talked about this on one of the pods earlier this year. You're looking through exactly what they gave up. I'm still blown away by it.
I mean, if they had just given up like a first rounder the next year, would have been a bad pick. But like it was just it was like 7 other picks, a couple seconds, a couple thirds. Just funny.
You know, what's crazy is the Bears were on the opposite side of a trade like that when they got the picks in order to get Caleb Lynch. Now, I still don't think that he is the end-all be-all in Chicago, but the Bears upgraded their offense. We'll talk about that.
We will. All right, let's get into this. I'm just going to go through some of the picks in the first round, give me your instant reaction, and then we'll kind of wrap up the first round and go kind of big picture here. Obviously, we all knew Cam Ward was going 1. I think it's a solid pick, but mostly just the Travis Hunter trade. So the Jags trade up from 5 to 2 to get Travis Hunter. The Browns, get number 5. They get a second this year, and they get a first next year, and I think a couple other things. Quite a bit for, trading for a non-quarterback.
Yeah, the Browns have been moving around a lot in the draft. Let's touch on Cam Ward real quick, because while I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant this year, he does a lot for Calvin Ridley. And I think Calvin Ridley really gets a bump here. Ward is a wildly better quarterback than Will Levis. So what that offense should look like this year is a step in the right direction. Again, I'm not saying draft Cam Ward. I think he'll probably rank in the mid-20s or so, but Calvin Ridley definitely gets a boost. But on to the Travis Hunter. I mean, you talk about it. I don't like the guy as a quarterback. I'm sure he's a fine fellow, but Trevor Lawrence, he gets a bump in this draft as well. Travis Hunter, an outstanding two-way player. We all know about him, Heisman Trophy winner. Not my Heisman winner, but whatever. But the question is, what's he going to be playing on offense? What's he going to be playing on defense? So I've got my thought. I think that he's probably like a 74% offensive snap player and probably like 30% defense. I'm guessing that's the way. I don't think the Jaguars would have traded up to 2. Now, this is a rookie GM. He's a young kid. He's very aggressive here. I like the fit. I think Jacksonville has clear needs in the secondary and the receiving room, and they addressed them both with one pick. So it's a blockbuster trade, but it could work out.
Well, here's the weird thing, though, is that traditionally, like in the situation, you play a guy full-time on defense and you put packages in offense for him because defenses are more complicated. To know the scheme and not be in there. Like a blown play out as a wide receiver is nothing like a blown play as a cornerback. That's a touchdown for the other team. That's the concern there, right? And I think he wants to play 80% both ways. But the NFL is not college.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I don't know if that's even possible in the NFL, right? I mean, he's conditioning better than anybody in the league just coming in, but I think it's utterly impossible that he could play 80% both ways.
He can try, and I think, stamina-wise, he might. He's just going to get hurt. I mean, that's just the bottom line. These guys don't stay healthy.
But, I mean, a Jaguars offense with Brian Thomas Jr. on one side, Travis Hunter on the other, that is a nightmare for opposing defenses.
Too bad they have a chick playing quarterback. All right, Abdul Carter, nothing to talk about there, really. Awesome player. Will Campbell at 4. The Patriots, and what makes this crazier with the trade with the Jaguars with Travis Hunter is the Patriots had the number 1 pick locked up, and they won that game against the Bills. And, look at the haul they would have got. I mean, that's the haul that they got at 2, it would have been a bigger haul at 1. Yeah. And they ended up getting Will Campbell, who I think is going to be a serviceable, borderline Pro Bowl player, but that just hurts, man. Like, it hurts. And they were kind of forced into taking him because originally when Shador was going to go 2 or 3, you were looking at getting either Carter or Hunter, which would have been great at 4.
Will Campbell is definitely the best offensive lineman in this draft, for sure. So the Patriots are not hurting getting this, and it's definitely going to help. They need to shore up the offense. Like a lot of teams need to shore up the offensive line, but the Patriots certainly did. And so that addressed completely the running back, which they drafted the running back later in the draft. I think it's a right move, but you're right. If they hadn't won that game, and number 1, they definitely were not really in the market for Cam Moore. They still might have taken him, but can you imagine just moving back 1 spot, what they would have gotten?
Or they could have moved back, 4 spots and gotten Will Campbell anyway and gotten an additional 1 and 2 next year on most likely a bottom 5 team, which would have been another top 5 pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ashton Genty.
It's not a bad move. Oh, Ashton Genty, yeah. A-plus move.
What do you got?
A-plus move for fantasy, A-plus move for real life. This is, it's tough not to argue that. I don't want to put too many expectations on the rookies. We saw what happened last year, but how does Ashton Genty not vault into the top of the running back rankings, fantasy rankings right off the bat? Is he a first-round pick, do you think?
Oh, 100%. There's no, because he's guaranteed 280 touches if he stays healthy.
Yeah, what are they going to give the ball to Sir Robert Thompson?
No. I don't like the pick for the Raiders, and there's so many holes, and to take a running back, look at what happened to Saquon with the Giants. Like, he wasn't done the last 3 years, but he was kind of ineffective because their offensive line was trash, and a running back only makes a difference on a good team, especially a great team, and the Raiders are a trash team.
They are bad, but they're making steps in the right direction. Now, I don't think I don't think Pete Carroll is the right hire there. He's a million years old, but he likes to run the ball. Chip Kelly wants to establish the ground game. From a fantasy perspective, I don't think there's a better fit in the entirety of this year's draft.
It's mostly just the workload fit, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a scheme fit.
I might be a little aggressive with A-plus for real life because of the fact that you're dealing with a team that has a lot of holes. So for Genty to really succeed, for him to make the Pro Bowl in year 1 is probably going to be difficult. It's probably more like a B grade, maybe a B minus.
But what does Pete Carroll want to do? He wants to run the ball.
Run the ball? Oh yeah, but again, Genty, there's no comparison in this year's draft for the type of talent he is. But the problem is when you're running the ball and you're getting 3 yards per carry, right? It's just not really an effective way to move the ball. So if you've got short drives, quick 3 and outs, and Genty's just not on the field because the team isn't sustaining drive, it hurts his overall value as an NFL contributor.
All right, so a lot of these questions, we haven't talked too much. We didn't do our pre-draft stuff like usual, so these are all kind of, I don't even know your take on a lot of these guys. Number 8, Ted McMillan to the Panthers with a noodle-arm quarterback that can't throw the ball down the field. What do you think about the player? What do you think about the fit? What do you think about the pick?
It's good. I think it's a B. They definitely needed offensive help in the draft. Fantasy-wise, I like this pick. I would probably put this at an A-. I mean, you do forget that Bryce Young, he kind of erupted in the second half of last year.
Played well.
And he did it with, like, one of the sketchiest receiving corps. You and I were both kind of with there on Xavier Legette. So I think there's a real chance that Ted McMillan steps in as the number 1 wide receiver for the Panthers to start the year. If not, I mean, it's a strong possibility that he'll be a solid fantasy contributor down the stretch.
All right, on to our Bears. Number 10, Colson Loveland, not the consensus number 1 tight end. Drafting tight ends in the first round. Historically, if you take away the last couple, example A, Kyle Pitts, not good. So what do you think about the player? I love the scheme fit for him, but what do you think?
Great player, horrible pick. Just an absolute disaster of a pick. I think that Ben Johnson he wanted to get his guy. He wanted to recreate what they do sometimes in Detroit with a 2 tight end set. But come on, man. Like, we need offensive linemen. Now, I get that 3 offensive linemen went in the first 10, so the first 9, so the Bears didn't have the opportunity for one of the top 3. But we need offensive line help. We need defensive help. And just sitting here to pick a luxury pick, I mean, was tight end in need when you got Cole Kmet? We just paid him $50 million for 4 years.
That's true.
That's a pretty solid contributor. So, as a Anguished Bears fan, I'm probably biased, but I hate the pick. And I think it's a bad fit for fantasy. I mean, where's he going to slot in? Like 15 to 16?
Do you have him higher than Tyler Warren as a player graded?
No, I've got Warren graded higher, but I think that I will admit the fit is better for Loveland in Chicago than Warren in Indianapolis.
So what my biggest concern is that I saw this with Dalton Kincaid, and I watched Loveland's film pretty deep after they picked him. I watched a little bit of it before, and then I went back and we've seen Dalton Kincaid has not really lived up to the hype with Buffalo. And then I watched Dalton Kincaid's Utah State tape, right, and it looked very similar to me. And Kincaid's just kind of been a guy, and what has Kincaid struggled with in college and in pros is like yak, right? He's not really a bruiser, and what does Loveland struggle with is yak.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few plays in college where he managed to break off, but it's usually like a wheel route where the defender takes a bad angle and just doesn't have the grip. You're right. I mean, from a yak perspective, there's not much there. Now, I don't know if you kind of sense the Bears are planning to run this year.
I think they're planning on playing a lot of 12 personnel the whole time. I think they're going to have 2 receivers. Now they have the third receiver we'll get to later. I think it's going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets, and that's what the Lions did, right? They pounded you when they had they leaned on the run game, and it was a lot of play action passing.
Yeah, it's an okay fit from a fantasy perspective. I really don't want anything to do this year.
No, definitely not. All right, so Tyler Warren 14. Not touching that because they don't have a quarterback. They were running back playing quarterback.
So I was excited when they drafted him because I love Warren as a talent, but then I got to thinking about it. It's been a couple days. I'm like, God, this is a bad fit all around. What does Warren succeed in? I mean, he's a down-the-field threat, which neither quarterback can really move the ball downfield with their arm. Short yardage guy, they don't need a short yardage guy. They've got, either Anthony Richardson or Jonathan Taylor to pound the ball in. And there's just a ton of competition still floating around. I think they re-signed Mo Cox. So, really, like, Warren, I'm so saddened because I love him as a talent, and we're going to get nothing from him in year 1.
Mo Alley Cox is going to be on the Colts in like 2044.
The guy is enormous.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on here a little bit. Really questionable pick. I actually love the player. 19, we have Mecca Ibuka to the Bucks.
Yeah, that was definitely a surprise. I don't think anybody thought Ibuka was going to be the second wide receiver drafted in this. I don't know how many people had him as a top 20 pick. Fantasy-wise, I don't know, like a C?
No, it's an F, man. I mean, well, the thing is, why did they re-sign Godwin for all that money? And then McMillan showed out last year.
True. Well,
so
the team, we can't, I mean, I don't think anybody saw this coming after they re-signed Godwin, but there's also a chance that Godwin he's not the same player after the knee injury that he had.
So why did they re-sign him to all that money?
I don't know. Teams are weird.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't understand like the fit. I love the player. I get like I don't know if it was necessarily value, but it's strange to me.
It is a weird pick. Like I said, I think there's also better wide receivers that could fit that scheme a little better. I mean, Evans is another year older. The guy can't keep getting 1,000 yards every single year.
Yes, he can.
Or maybe he can't. Maybe he can't. I don't know. But definitely not the best spot. And they probably a C as well for a real life fit because what's he going to play in maybe 60% of the snaps?
Yeah, moving on, number 22, Marion Hampton to the Chargers. So they signed Najee Harris to a 1-year kind of prove-it deal. They love to run the ball. I love Hampton. So what do you think here?
Hampton's a great talent. I think if you're in Dynasty League and you're set up to draft Marion Hampton, you're very, very happy because the Harris deal is as you said, it's a 1-year deal. So he's not going to be a long-term nuisance. In the short term, yeah, they like to run the ball, but that doesn't matter when you got 2 bruisers in the game. So I feel this is going to be a complete split. We saw it last year that the Chargers, they didn't really want to run J.K. Dobbins as much as they did. As soon as Gus Edwards was healthy, he was back on the field splitting carry. And Chargers were 31st in passes to the running back last year. They just don't throw the ball to the running backs, period. And without that, there's no pass catching upside. Who knows whether it's who's getting the short yardage here. I'm not a huge fan. I think it's a good fit for the Chargers. I'm not a fan for this year for fantasy, but going forward, I think it's a great fit.
My only pushback on they didn't want to run, full J.K. Dobbins is that you can't run a full J.K. Dobbins, and that's equivalent of giving a fuckload of sugar to like a diabetic. I mean, it's not gonna work out well, right?
He's still dragging his one gimpy leg around. I mean, God bless the man. He had a good career. The knee injury derailed it. He would be a star in this league if it weren't for all the injuries.
I love J.K. Dobbins, but I disagree with that. Moving on, Matthew Golden, hometown pick, finally taking a wide receiver. I like Matthew Golden. He's fast. I don't really know what he is. I think he could be like a poor man's Garrett Wilson. What are your thoughts?
I mean, what are we doing here? Like they've got 7 wide receivers on the roster already. They're not going to carry 7 into the season. So yeah, if somebody's getting cut, it's not going to be Matthew Golden, not as a first round pick, obviously. But we're gonna look back and be like, is this a Jaden Reed week? This Matthew Golden week? He's fast. They got a burner. Is he number 1? I don't think so. It's just a weird pick. I don't quite understand. Also, if you look back 3 months, Matthew Golden was not even close to a first round pick.
He ran a 4.29 though, man.
Speed. I know the NFL is obsessed with speed, but how's that working out? Caleb Van Austin was drafted 7 overall. And he signed 1 contract after his rookie deal. So, I don't know. I don't like it. I think the Packers like him, obviously, but you look at the wide receivers that are there, it doesn't make sense. You already, why not just work with the guys you got?
Right. Well, they didn't have an alpha, but the thing is, Matthew Golden doesn't comp to an alpha, so that's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season in his entire career. He's not an alpha wide receiver. I don't know. This felt like a hometown, like satiating hometown. But look at,
especially with the draft being in Green Bay, that was my thought, is that they did it to appease the fans.
Yeah, it's a dumb move. Christian Watson, Datavian Wig, Bo Melton, Nicole Hardman, Julian Hicks, Cornelius Johnson. So excuse me, they have 8 wide.
Well, Watson's out for next year, though. Watson's out for the year. So.
You think he's out for next year?
Probably, dude. He can't stay healthy when he's healthy, and now he's not healthy. He's got an ACL.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a bum anyway.
I don't think this is. I don't think you're not going to be able to reliably start Matthew Golden in a best ball league. Sure, he might be worth a flyer, but it's a that's it. I think it's a fan-appeasing pick.
He doesn't like it. Okay, moving on to 25. Giants trade up to get Jackson Dart. I didn't get your opinion. I don't know your opinion on Jackson Dart. In general, the trade up is always a little sketch, especially with the Shedeur Sanders fall, which, by the way, this is getting recorded on Saturday at about 4 Central, so they're still in the 7th round, but pretty much everything's done. Sanders went in the 5th round to the Browns. We'll cover that later. It's hilarious for many, many reasons. But trading up to get Jackson Dart at 25, what are your thoughts on Dart? Obviously, he's going to sit a year or two. What are your thoughts?
If the Giants fall out of contention late, which is very possible for this franchise, Dart could play earlier than some people expect, but he's got a good arm, right, and he's got a quick release, and he will run if need be. He'll run in the red zone. But I mean, the guy can't read a field to save his life. I mean, we watched him at Ole Miss last year just fail to work through his progressions consistently, and there's just too many instances of him failing on a clean pocket. Going to a bad franchise, a bad quarterback to a bad franchise is a bad. If he went to a decent franchise and had the opportunity to develop, I could see something. But I mean, you're trading up to draft a lane kicking quarterback in the first round.
He's bad.
Possibly go bad.
He's bad. I'm just gonna lay it out to you right now. I hate this kid. I wish him nothing but the best, like in his like health wise and like personally, but professionally, he sucks, dude. Like he's terrible. All I do is see him throw like 60-yard touchdown passes because he has a clean pocket and the guy's wide open. He, like you said, he can't read a field.
And he struggled against the better defenses in college, especially the SEC.
And the appeal is like I'll give he's like a poor man's version of Josh Allen, right? He's not as tall, he's not as big, he's not as fast, his arm isn't as good, he's not as accurate, and that's not as accurate as Josh Allen coming out of college is not good. So like, but there's not one thing he's better at than Josh Allen was coming out, and like the sum of all those parts is trash. And you know who I think he is? I think he's a worse version of Will Levis.
Oh, that's rough.
Dude, Will Levis' college film was better.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
We'll see what the future holds. He's a young kid, so he has the opportunity to develop.
Where did you have him? Where did you have him in your quarterback ranks?
I think.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think I had him at 5 too because I had Shedeur at 4 and I was really low on Sanders.
No, me too.
But like I would 100% rather have Sanders than Dart.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but I agree. This is a bad pick by the guys.
I mean, bad pick. Worse because it's a trade up.
Yes.
You know, Trubisky was a bad pick, but it was also worse because we traded up.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I fucked a nasty chick, but also guess what? She was a hooker and I had to pay for it. No, you had to pay for that nasty chick. Now you have herpes.
Yeah.
Another weird one. The next pick here. I know there's a lot of off the field issues with this guy. Number 26, James Pierce Jr. to the Falcons. They already took an edge rusher in the first round. They trade back up and give up next year's first to get a back end first round pick. Have you ever heard this happening before?
No. I'm not quite sure what was going on with Falcons and this pick. No, Falcons have been known to make some weird stuff. They were connected to him at some point, I believe, but they, William, he's got upside, right? He's got good speed, but they paid a lot.
He has elite speed, like 4.4 speed.
Yeah.
But couldn't he have been available in the second round though?
Oh yeah.
Because the off the field shit.
Probably not as late as 46.
No, you trade up to like 40.
46. Right, but moving it up to 26, moving up 20 spots, it's just a lot for a guy that has some off the field concerns and I would say some field vision concerns as well.
Ravens, just do Ravens things. Take Malachi Starks, which he's going to be probably a Pro Bowler. You know them.
Oh yeah. Pro Bowler year one.
I haven't heard a lot of people rave about this pick here. 31, frickin' Eagles, man. Jahad Campbell. Like, has there ever been a more perfect situation and like a more like ideal pick for a team that like it's a luxury pick, right? He's probably going to miss the first 3, 5, 8 weeks, whatever, with the injury. I don't care if he misses the whole year. This guy's like a Roquan Smith, but more athletic.
The Eagles are like the masters of just being patient and waiting for their guy, right? Howie Roseman. There's a lot of talk online about how did Howie Roseman do this again? How did they and people talk about letting players fall to the Chiefs, but the Eagles now they moved up one spot to get him. They didn't give up all that much. But what do you think about that? Just moving up from 32 to 31 to make sure they got their guy.
I think it's smart because I think he was if it wasn't for the injury, I from what I've heard, he's a top 10 pick. And now, like it's always weird for me how teams like a guy gets devalued almost a whole round just because he might not make an impact his rookie year, where most guys don't make an impact their rookie year anyway. And, like, it's a redshirt thing, right? And when you're a team like the Eagles, all you care about is, like, the back half of the season and or the playoffs. So what does it really matter, right? Like, I guess a team like the Giants, like, their GM and coach could get fired if the guy doesn't pan out right away. But, I mean, that's just it's a beautiful pick because I'm very confident this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, he's probably the most versatile linebacker that was in this draft. I mean, speculation that without the injury, he's easily a top 15, probably top 10 pick. He can play, stack. He can rush the edge. I've seen a guy just absolutely dominate the edge in college. He can operate as a spy. Like, it's completely the right fit for that scheme and what the Eagles have. So, yeah, definitely a future Pro Bowler, and the Eagles just continuing to dominate the draft.
I'd agree. Give me some highlights for you for round one. Best picks, worst picks, final thoughts, anything?
I really like Calvin Banks for the Saints. That is exactly who I wanted the
Bears to take.
The Bears to draft at 10, and they took him. That would have been a situation where the Bears should have drafted on one spot and grabbed Calvin Banks Jr. Definitely, kid out of Texas, offensive tackle, I believe,
yeah. But
just the exact right thing for the Saints. They needed that offensive line help. This is what the Bears needed. This kid is going to be a solid contributor day one. He'll be starting day one. So for me, that's probably the best pick, I think. Worst pick? It's Dart.
It's Dart. It's Dart. We don't have to go to that. Walter Nolan, and we're going to get to the second round here. Walter Nolan for the Cardinals. Their defense was putrid, but this guy is supposed to be like a poor man's Aaron Donald. And then they pair that with the kid from Michigan, the corner, that fell really crazy far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just love those two picks. I think those guys are impact players day one.
They take him in round 2, right?
They took Will, what's his name? Will
Johnson.
Will Johnson in round 2, and they got Walter Nolan round 1.
That's what you're talking about, right? Will Johnson?
Yeah, I was talking about Walter Nolan, though, and it's the Cardinals, and they got both of them.
So they pair the tackle in round 1 with the corner in round 2. Michigan, a lot of players drafted in this draft, but Walter Nolan, the man is an absolute beast, right? I think he's 40 pounds, 6'4". This is even after they brought back Calais Campbell. So the interior was an absolute need. It's a really good fit. They needed that defense. Now, we'll see what they do on offense. We'll talk about it later, but yeah, I think really solid pick.
All right, moving to the second round. Just going to highlight a couple things that caught my eye, or some players or things I think that are interesting. We'll get a little Bears heavy here too, since we're Bears fans. Jaden Higgins to the Texans. Kind of weird fit, considering he's kind of similar to Nico Collins in a way. Mm-hmm. But I like the player a lot. What do you think?
His ceiling is definitely capped with Nico Collins there. This is a guy, Jaden Higgins, who steamed up draft boards over the last month or so. Actually, probably since the combine, right? Both of the Iowa State wide receivers have moved up precipitously, and needs reliable wide receivers after Nico Collins. So we're not going to see Tank Dell again this year, maybe ever.
Maybe ever.
Yeah, and Jalen Noel, he went there as well. He went to the Texans as well in round 3. So they feel strongly that wide receiver was a need, and they want to give support to that wide receiver room, and they did it. I don't know if Kenny Galladay is a good comparison considering the end of his career, but a big body, good separator. He's got an opportunity to make some impact in the first year, but it's definitely capped.
And, well, here's the thing is, they must love Iowa State receivers because they took Xavier Hutchinson, my boy, last year.
Oh, that's right.
And I love that guy. I still think he's one of the best receivers in the NFL, personally.
Yeah, interesting.
Let's get to the Bears again. Number 7 in the second round, 39th overall, Luther Burden the third. Thoughts?
I mean, this guy is like the clone of DJ Moore, is he not? The Bears they got a type, and he's right in there. I mean, he's going to help. Caleb Williams is going to help the offense more than he'll help fantasy managers. That's just it. Like, probably a B-, C+ real life fit, but this is like C-, D+ fantasy fit. But it's just not enough room in that crowded pass catching core.
Yeah, you don't like him. You don't like what the Bears are doing, is what I hear.
I do not like what the Bears are doing. I don't think that Ben Johnson's the savior that everybody thinks he's going to be, but we'll see what happens. And I think Caleb Williams is overrated. But that, again, people know my feelings on that. Luther Burden, though, he was like, if he had gone in the first round, I think he would have been a real solid kind of contributor. So,
well, from what I heard, the last year, 2024, was a rough year. He took a step back everywhere. If he had came out or could have come out 2023, he was a top 20 pick.
Yes.
Maybe not with that wide receiver class, but like you know what I'm saying.
His junior season was an absolute step back. There's no argument.
Right.
But his sophomore season, I don't think there's a better production profile out there than what he put on the field for Mizzou in his sophomore season. It's just go back and look at the numbers. It's wild what he was doing in the SEC. So that's why I really like him. I know what he can do. I'm not sure what happened last year. It's tough when you go back a year. I mean, he kind of had to go back, I think, right?
Yeah, but I think his biggest concern is that he's a knucklehead. I mean,
a little bit, but I saw that kid make some plays that very few wide receivers in the NFL can even make.
I love calling people knuckleheads. Well, I want to use another word. And it starts with N, but I can't say it on air. You know.
Inappropriate.
It's nincompoop.
Nincompoop.
No, it's something else. But I can't say it, so I won't say it. But if you're not an idiot, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, moving on.
Number 40, another quarterback. Let's get to the Shedeur Sanders conversation. So, he was supposed to go top 3 originally, and then, okay, maybe the Saints at 9, maybe the Steelers at 21. I don't know what the Steelers are doing. They still do not have a quarterback. And Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck. Okay, what do you think about him?
So the guy's what?
40?
Years old?
Yeah. He's 25. He's handsome. Though. He played 7 years in college.
I'm pretty sure he turns 26 in the first part of the season. So a 26-year-old journeyman. I mean, you don't get the term journeyman attributed to college play. I mean, more so nowadays. But
injury concerns too.
A guy that probably has broken more collarbones than all of the NFC North. Like, he's got good measurables, right? And it was a great year last year at Texas Tech. Oh, excuse me, Louisville. He was at Louisville.
Yeah.
At Texas Tech at one point. But he's probably day one starter though for
yeah.
I mean, it's a round 2 pick, but there's speculation that Derek Carr's shoulder might keep him out for the entire year. So with no other competition, I think we're gonna have to terms with the fact that Tyler Shuck is the starter there, 8-1.
Would you have just taken Shedeur Sanders there though? Not knowing what you know now, the fact that he's a 5th round pick.
Yeah, I don't understand the Shuck over Shedeur Sanders. But I also don't understand Jalen Monroe over Shedeur Sanders. So,
I understand Milroe over a lot of guys because I'm no quarterback whisperer. I was all about my boy to Denver last year, Bo Nix. But I also wasn't about Jaden Daniels. That's a 50% hit rate, which is actually better than the NFL is.
Oh, did you hear Mel Kiper today after Shedeur Sanders finally went in the 5th round?
What did he say? I know he was the highest on him ever.
Oh, he was just saying how the NFL gets it wrong year after year. He can't believe that all 52 teams passed multiple times, that this is the biggest mistake in NFL draft history. He was just lambasting the NFL for letting Shedeur Sanders fall to the 5th round.
Well, you know what? It brings up a good point. Is just when I was watching the draft, and I watched this year probably more than recent years. I always pay attention to each pick, but I was actually watching, the actual draft and the analysis. And all they do is slurp all these dudes. A 3rd round right guard is just like, this guy, man, he's a mauler. It's like, dude, you realize 10% of these guys are going to be relevant, right? And all of these guys have negatives. Even, Kevin White. Did I have to say anything else? You get what I'm saying?
I was there at that draft, and I got to meet him. I'm this guy's not that tall.
But all they do is it's all, this guy's awesome. It's dude, no. Why don't we be more real? I get that it's more propping up the NFL and oh my God, it's the best time to be a fan of the NFL because you have all these awesome new prospects coming in. But this isn't the NBA where you have can't miss guys, and even can't miss guys in the NBA miss, which is hard to believe. But NFL is so about system and the guy's motor and who they are as a person, their work ethic and situation, and come on, it's annoying to me because it's every 4th round pick is amazing apparently.
Yeah, well, even the guys that are offensive skill position players that are getting drafted around 5, 6, and 7, they're talking about Cam Miller from North Dakota State. And if you go through anybody's college tape, you can find enough highlights to make it seem like the guy's a Pro Bowler. But probably not going to be in the NFL.
So what's the reason that Shedeur Sanders got drafted in the 5th round?
I was talking about this with a few people. So I don't think he's a good enough talent to be a starting quarterback in the NFL to start his career. He might develop into that, but the lack of humility, I think, really hurts. You're dealing with the egos of mostly old white men, right? And when they get told off by a young black man that I'm the best or you should draft me or whatever, I think it's personal for a lot of these guys. I think a lot of them are personal. I think a lot of it is you don't really want to deal with the media circus that Deion Sanders could bring around. Like, do you want Deion calling up your coach on Monday and be like, why did you run that play for Shedeur on 3rd and 7? You know what I mean?
Or putting it on blast on social media.
Oh, that's probably more likely.
But here's the question, is that Johnny Manziel was drafted in the 1st round. Okay? Johnny Manziel was a 5'11" cokehead. Like, Shedeur Sanders isn't a cokehead, right?
No, that's we know. But
no,
Shedeur, they got 5 quarterbacks in that wide receiver, or in that quarterback room now, so I'm not sure they're only keeping 3, right? You got to figure that.
So are they gonna drop the dude from Oregon they drafted?
No, I would bet that Joe Flacco and with Mason Rudolph are probably gone.
No, Mason Rudolph's not there. It's Kenny Smallhands Pickett.
Oh, that's right. God, you never remember these.
So they're not. So they have Pickett. They have Flacco. What's the guy from Oregon's name?
First time that they drafted 2.
He sucks. This guy sucks, right?
What the hell was his name? Oh, God.
I knew his name. I kind of blocked it off. They drafted him in the 3rd round, I think, dude.
Yeah, I am blocking it as well, but we'll come back to it. But yeah, they've got 5 right now.
Dylan Gabriel,
right? And they also still, I think, Deshaun Watson is still there.
Oh yeah. Do you know how big Dylan Gabriel is? He's 5'10".
5'10"?
Yeah. And he has a noodle arm, but he has the most wins in like FBS history, tied with.
Well, that's because he played most of his career in the Pac-12.
And he played a full, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he played in the Big Ten last year and he did really, really well. But when it came playoff times, he's kind of fell flat on his face.
My question is, obviously they didn't realize that, they probably just took Shedeur at that point in the 5th round because why not? And they didn't think he'd fall that far. But Dylan Gabriel literally comps to 100% as like a game managing backup. Like, there is no way this guy's a franchise quarterback. He makes Brock Purdy seem like Josh Allen, right?
I would guess the Steelers go into the season with Kenny Pickett as the starter, and then Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders as both 2-3, 2A, 2B.
No, Joe Flacco's starting, dude.
Dude, they're not going to keep Joe Flacco.
What do you mean? He led him to the playoffs.
He's getting cut. He's too old. There's no way they're keeping him. They're not keeping Watson. I don't think there's any way they're keeping Joe Flacco. There's just no point. Well, you just spent 2 draft picks on 2 quarterbacks. You're going to cut one of them?
And that's the crazy thing is, they can't. Shedeur is a way better prospect than Dylan Gabriel. He was on no one's board.
So you basically wasted an earlier pick in order to draft Shedeur. So not only did you get Shedeur Sanders, because you can't cut him. You can't cut Shedeur Sanders. You'll get lambasted, completely eviscerated. So now you wasted an earlier pick. You basically drafted. If you're saying you have to cut Dylan Gabriel, then you basically drafted Shedeur Sanders where you drafted Dylan Gabriel.
Correct.
Now maybe they weren't thinking about that at the time because the Cleveland Browns are mostly idiots. But this also might have been a Jimmy Haslam thing where he might have called in and said, "Hey, you're taking Shedeur Sanders right here." He's got the final say. He might have called him and they're like, "That's it. That's the guy. That's what we're taking." So now it's on the coaches to figure out this 5 quarterback, charybdis that they've got going on.
5 quarter. It's like a fucking pitching rotation, dude. Fucking messed up.
What's that Greek monster from mythology that had multiple heads?
Oh yeah. What's just funny is that he ends up in Cleveland, where early on Deion said he's not playing for Cleveland, and he goes to football hell in the 5th round. It's just super comical to me.
I'm not trying to take pleasure in this young man's falling down.
I am.
I don't think that's right.
I am.
But I think he deserved to be better than a 5th round pick. And I think there's some personal stuff in the NFL going on. At the same time, I don't think there's any way that he was a top 5 pick. That was ludicrous to me. I don't think he should have been a 1st round. I think round 3 was a solid opportunity for a team. And I think some teams are going to regret missing out on having Shedeur Sanders as a solid backup for their team, when Josh Allen gets hurt, for example.
The NFL does love to blackball, right? And that's what happened. I mean, Colin Kaepernick, I'm sorry. The guy was a top 30 quarterback, guaranteed when he stopped playing.
Legitimately proven that the NFL teams colluded to keep Colin Kaepernick from getting a job.
Right. So
I don't think there was collusion here, but I think it was an unspoken thing from a lot of teams.
Yeah, well, I guess the bottom line is do better in your interviews, bro, because nothing's given to you.
That's also true. This is also partly on him. Didn't test, didn't go to most interviews, came in and was super arrogant, and that's going to turn scouts off. It's going to turn GMs off. So I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to kiss the ring to get ahead. I'm not saying that you can't be you, but put on that humility cap once in a while and understand that this game is bigger than any individual person.
Well, he did the exact opposite of what Johnny Manziel did when his agent tampered with a drug test. Remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh, it was in the documentary. He failed. He didn't tamper. Johnny was out before he was gonna have to get drug tested for the meetings, and he got fake piss for him. Oh, I'm saying Johnny Manziel. Come on, it's 100% because he knew Johnny Manziel's shelf life was 3 months in terms of where they figured him out, and he just had to get past the process, get drafted, get your $20 million. That's all you're gonna get, right?
Yeah.
Because he couldn't play. He couldn't play, and he was a fucking cokehead, and he didn't give a fuck about football.
He did get a contract with, I think, the Toronto Alouettes.
Oh, right, yeah.
Alouettes or Toronto Argonauts? I can't remember.
Well, he made a lot of money on the Netflix doc, so.
That's true, too. That guy was a complete nut, right? He was a cokehead.
Well, yeah, and cocaine's pretty fun, but.
Yeah. Right? Shedeur Sanders is just a mediocre quarterback who played in the Pac-12 and couldn't get his team to win the conference.
You really hate the Pac-12. All right, we're running out of time here, so give me some final thoughts. Give me some other second round stuff. Anything else you got that you want to lay on the people here?
Yeah, well, I think we skipped the big one in the second round, which is Quinshon Judkins to the Browns. Right? He's got just the absolute. Now this kid came from. He was at Ohio State, but before that, I think he was at Missouri. In any event, he's got the body type and the skill set to be a feature back right off the gun here. So their offensive might be a little suspect to start, but you look at what Nick Chubb has done with terrible offensive play in Cleveland, and yeah, it's a good fit. He's a power back. He's a grinder. This is what Cleveland wants to do. I think they're going to fall in love with him, and I think that there's an opportunity. This is a draft and hold kind of player. I think it's an A- fit in terms of the actual real life fit, and then a B+ fit for fantasy.
Did you just compare Quinshon Judkins to fucking Nick Chubb?
They're not really the same size, but Judkins is definitely more of the bruiser back at Ohio State. So I think that's what they're going to look at him in the NFL.
I think that's a bad pick, personally, but.
You think it's a bad real life pick or fantasy?
Both. Real life. For 36 overall in a deep running back class, man?
Yeah, but they're running back off the board.
I don't think he's that good.
Well, you have taken Trevion Henderson over him?
That's more a fit-based thing, because Henderson's never going to be a... Although, no, I can't say Henderson can't be an every down back, because I literally watched Devin A-Chain get 20 touches a fucking game. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
And Devin A-Chain is literally Warwick Dunn or Muggsy Bogues, dude.
Yeah. So Judkins is not that far off size-wise. So Chubb's listed at 5'11", 225, or 227 by Pro Football Reference. Judkins was listed at 6'0", 219. So, he's a little smaller, but he's definitely more of the bruiser type, the grinder type.
Oh, I get the comp. I get the fit in terms of he fills a need of this type of back, but I think he's like half the player Nick Chubb is. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, all right.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you're the college guy. I have watched some film, and I just
Go
didn't.
back and watch Judkins' junior season. Now, he was like he didn't have just an outstanding production profile last year because he had Travion Henderson with him in the backfield. But Judkins, let me find out where he was prior to that. Just an absolute stud of a year prior to.
I got another name for you. I got another name for you.
Okay, yeah, it was Ole Miss, not Mizzou. He was at Ole Miss for 2 years.
Elijah Arroyo to the Seahawks. They trade DK Metcalf, right? They lose their big body speed guy. This guy's a monster. Tight end out of Miami.
Yeah, he's out of Miami. Yeah, he's I think he was a 4-star, maybe a 5-star prospect.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he was. He's like 6'4", 260, and he's fast as lightning.
He was tied to Cam Ward in Miami last year.
I get it.
Seattle seems pretty excited. The problem is this guy dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his college career.
Yeah, but I don't ever worry about, like, as long as they're not, like, lingering injuries. Like, you know, there's a lot of players that were injury prone that are not. And there's a lot of players that weren't injury prone that become injury prone. Like, it's just, that's flipping a coin, man. It's the NFL. It's football.
True. He's a big guy, too. I think he's 250. Like
Dude, he moves. It was impressive. And it was, like, more like, I watched his film and I watched Loveland's film, and it's like, why are these guys going 40 picks apart?
Yeah, so you're saying, like, this is going to be eventually Sam Darnold's T.J. Hawkinson.
I was going to say more, I guess, DK Metcalf.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't really have the speed for that.
For his size, he has speed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good value, don't get me wrong. Like, he's probably not going to contribute year one. I'm pretty sure Noah Fant is still there, but I think it's only one contract.
Noah Fant will always be there.
Not very good, too. So, yeah, I mean, he's also a good blocker, if I remember correctly. Roy, I don't really remember. I didn't really watch much AAC as much as I should have.
All right, give me your final thoughts here. I know we only got through like round. I don't want to go through every round. I gotta go drink. So. Yeah, well, we have a lot to talk about, Story. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I love the draft time. Draft season's always fun.
Kyle Williams, number 69. You love Kyle Williams?
I had Kyle Williams on my fantasy team last year, and it was a hit-and-miss prospect. I mean, you're talking about a Washington State kid who's got decent size, okay production. It's fine. I know that, again, this is another guy that just kind of got steamed up draft boards. I think that's what happens in April every year, or March and April. You get some guys that test well, and the buzz starts building, teams don't want to miss out. And you end up overdrafting a guy that probably shouldn't be drafted where they get drafted.
I have a last name I want to talk to you about. The Steelers took the guy from Iowa, right?
Caleb Johnson?
Yes.
That's the way you're gonna go. That's the one guy I want to talk about with Caleb Johnson.
God, we're like soulmate, Story. Can you come over and fuck that ass later?
You betcha.
Oh yes.
See, we're talking about Caleb Johnson, man. This guy was an absolute monster last year. 1,500 yards, 128 yards per game, 6.4 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns last year. You want to talk about the dots connecting, the circles intersecting, right? This kid is a zone scheme power runner, and that's what Arthur Smith loves to use. We know that's what Arthur Smith loves. And at the Pittsburgh offense, Najee Harris is gone. Jalen Warren's always been a satellite back. This is a, Johnson is 6'1", 224. He's, I don't know, comp to, like, what, Arian Foster, somewhere down the line. I think he's going to struggle to get in on the field on third downs and hurry up packages, but if the Steelers want to make him their lead back, you're looking at a solid contributor for years on the Steelers, and I think it potentially fantasy in the second half of the year.
It's just such a Steelers pick, and these winning franchises, whether they're winning Super Bowls or not, which there's a lot more that factors that than the draft and these organizations. There's a lot of luck and obviously quarterback play, but like it seems like the Ravens, the Eagles, the Steelers, they just keep on making these predictable picks that no one else touches. These guys, and they just work for what they are looking for in a player and a person. I think, and like they just keep on making them, and they work, right?
Yeah, they did draft Will Howard there in the 6th round out of Ohio State, so that's interesting to see what their long-term prospect at quarterback look like. I'm also it's a little bizarre that the Steelers didn't draft a wide receiver at all in this draft. They've been well known to draft kind of lagging talent in the draft and then develop them. You look at Antonio Brown, I think he was a 6th round pick.
6th round pick, yep.
Yeah, so it's interesting that they didn't. I mean, the second round might still be going on. Interesting that they didn't. We still got a bunch of picks here in the 7th round, so maybe they'll grab somebody. But in terms of Caleb Johnson to the Steelers, that's probably my favorite second round pick.
Love it. All right, man. I appreciate you calling in. We'll wrap this up, and soon enough we'll do a little rookie landing spot show for all you guys.
Yeah, that'll be good. We'll get you guys some good insight on some guys to keep an eye on for your rookie drafts coming up.
Love it, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Take
And
care.
I will talk to you soon.
And it's been a complete joy.